Condemnation of charges. NAS, National Salvation Front, flatly rejects the treason and murder charges against Machar and 7 SPLMIO officials, calling them politically motivated and a form of ethnic persecution. Ethnic dimension. NAS highlights that all 8 accused are newer, portraying the move as part of a systematic campaign since 2013 to criminalize the newer community while protecting regime-aligned groups responsible for mass atrocities. Selective justice. NAS argues the government ignores accountability for crimes like the 2013 Juba killings, the 2016 Terrain hotel attack, atrocities in Bor, Malakal, and Wau. Instead, it targets opposition leaders to weaken them politically. Due process concerns. 83 suspects were interrogated, 76 released for lack of evidence, which NAS says shows the probe lacked credibility. No evidence of command responsibility linking Machar directly to the White Army attack in Nasir. The Ministry of Justice publicly implied Machar's guilt, violating the presumption of innocence. Political motive. NAS claims the charges, treason, terrorism, crimes against humanity, etc., are not based on solid law, but rather crafted to maximize stigma and tarnish Machar and the SPLMIO leadership. Backhanded exploiting right essentially. NAS is framing this as ethnic scapegoating and a political witch hunt, rather than a pursuit of justice. NAS slams treason, murder charges against Machar. Earlier this week, South Sudan's Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs announced that Machar and his co-accused would face trial over the March 2025 incident in Nasir. Following months of investigation, NAS slams treason, murder charges against Machar. Detained SPLMIO chairman Riek Machar attends the meeting with leaders of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, at an extraordinary summit to endorse a new proposal to take the South Sudanese peace process forward. Photo, Getty Images. Juba. The National Salvation Front, NAS, has condemned the treason and murder charges filed against Riek Machar and 7 senior SPLMIO officials, calling them ethnic persecution disguised as justice. Earlier this week, South Sudan's Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs announced that Machar and his co-accused would face trial over the March 2025 incident in Nasir. Following months of investigation, authorities allege that the SPLMIO chairman, who has been suspended as first vice president, coordinated with the White Army in an attack that killed Lieutenant General David Major Dak and his bodyguards. NAS, which remains outside the revitalized peace agreement, strongly rejected the accusations in a statement issued by Daniel Lee, the NAS Commissioner of Information, Mass Communications, and Cultural Affairs, on Saturday. The National Salvation Front categorically rejects the Ministry of Justice's politically motivated charges against Dr. Riek Machar Tini and a list of newer leaders accused of masterminding the Nasir incident of March 3, 2025, the statement read. NAS further argued that if the government respected justice, it would begin by holding accountable those behind the 2013 killings, the July 2016 Terrain hotel attack, and other atrocities. Instead, the group said, the regime selectively pursues cases that brand newer leaders as terrorists, while granting immunity to regime-backed forces. The opposition movement also accused the government of undermining due process. The regime boasts of due process, yet the facts betray them. 83 suspects were interrogated, 76 released for lack of evidence. This alone shows the investigation lacked credibility, the statement said. It added that prosecutors presented no clear command responsibility linking Dr. Machar to the White Army, a community defense force known for acting independently. According to NAS, the charges of murder, treason, terrorism, and crimes against humanity are designed not for legal precision but to create maximum political stigma. The group also questioned the independence of the judiciary, stating that public statements from the Ministry of Justice had already declared Machar guilty, thereby undermining the constitutional presumption of innocence. Defense lawyers, including PLO Lumumba, to arrive in Juba as Machar's court session nears end. Juba, September 14, 2025. The high-profile trial of South Sudan's first vice president and SPLMIO chairman, Dr. Riek Machar Teni Durgan, is expected to conclude its preliminary hearings this week, with his international defense team set to arrive in the capital, Juba, to bolster his case. According to legal sources close to Machar's office, a team of renowned lawyers from across Africa and beyond will begin traveling to Juba early this week to formally take part in defending the detained opposition leader. Among them is the celebrated Kenyan lawyer and Pan-African legal scholar, Professor PLO Lumumba, widely regarded as one of the most influential constitutional lawyers on the continent. Lumumba's involvement is seen as a major boost to Machar's legal standing, adding weight and visibility to what many opposition groups and international observers have already called a politically charged trial. Background to the case. Earlier this month, South Sudan's Ministry of Justice announced that Machar and 7 senior SPLMIO officials would face charges of treason, murder, terrorism, and crimes against humanity over the March 3, 2025 incident in Nasir, Upper Nile State, in which Lieutenant General David Major Dak and his bodyguards were killed. President Salva Kiir subsequently issued a decree suspending Machar and Oil Minister Pute Kong Cole from office pending trial. The decision has triggered a wave of backlash from opposition groups, including Machar's own SPLMIO and the National Salvation Front, NAS, who argue that the charges amount to ethnic scapegoating targeting the Nuer community and are designed to dismantle the 2018 revitalized peace agreement. Defense strategy. Sources say the arrival of high-profile international lawyers is intended not only to defend Machar in court, but also to expose weaknesses in the prosecution's case and draw international attention to South Sudan's judicial process. Professor Lumumba, in particular, is expected to challenge the government's interpretation of constitutional law and the alleged lack of credible evidence linking Machar directly to the White Army, which the government accuses of carrying out the Nasir attack. Political and diplomatic implications. Analysts believe the participation of international lawyers could complicate the government's strategy, as the case now risks becoming a regional and continental legal spectacle rather than a domestic trial. This is no longer just a South Sudanese case. It is quickly becoming a Pan-African test of whether justice in Juba can meet international standards, a Juba-based political analyst told Sudan's Post on Sunday. Observers also expect the presence of global legal heavyweights to increase pressure on IGAD, the African Union, and the United Nations to closely monitor the trial.